One day, while sifting through the storehouse and sorting the items, Ushio trips from one of the cellar's door ring. Curious as he is, he force opened the doors and fell below. Ushio then senses something behind him, a yokai, who grins menacingly at him as it seems to be impaled by a spear. Ushio is startled and starts retreating back to a wall, but the monster tells him that only a human can remove the spear. He also adds that the spear that's rendering him immobile is called the Beast Spear, the same spear that Ushio's dad's talking about. The yokai tells him he's trapped for 500 years and the Beast Spear, a legendary weapon that rends evil and pierces demons, is keeping him in place for a long time. Ushio asks him what he'll do once he's out, and the yokai responds he will start a murder spree, which makes Ushio leave. After school, Ushio is still pondering about the yokai and its wild proposal when suddenly, he sees small monsters floating around his classmate, Nakamura and Inao, who are just visiting him. Seeing he can't do anything, he quickly rushes to the storehouse and opens the cellar once again, asking the yokai what he's done to his eyes. The yokai laughs and tells him that opening the cellar is a big mistake. The evil miasma has been building up below the storehouse and Ushio released it by opening the cellar doors, which attracts the low-level yokai. And since Ushio made contact with the yokai earlier than everyone else, he can see the yokai better than everyone. Ushio starts to blame himself and asks the yokai to kill the yokais attracted to his presence. He then pulls the spear and frees the yokai, but the yokai immediately attacks him, telling him that no one would make a promise with a human, especially a yokai. Disappointed with the yokai's words, Ushio stands up and starts to absorb all of the evil miasma, and transforms himself just like the samurai who previously sealed the yokai. The yokai starts to immediately flee the storehouse, and Ushio chases after him, but the two become an unofficial yokai slaying team, coordinating their attacks to save Ushio's classmates. After the fight, Ushio quickly learns how the spear was made 2,000 years ago, with the sole purpose of killing demons. He then tells the yokai that it's got a responsibility to take, and they have to eliminate the yokai that has been attracted to the 500 years worth of miasma, and names the yokai as Tora. The next day, Ushio and Tora go to school, when suddenly, the spear rings and tells Ushio to go and check the old school building. Ushio ditches his class and sprints outside to check the building. Down the stairs, he sees his classmate half-stoned and crying, telling him that everyone has turned into stone. Tora tells him it's a rock eater, a type of yokai that turns everyone into stone. Arriving at the building, Ushio can't seem to find anything, so he leaves with Tora. He asks Tora what he knows, and Tora tells him that he won't help him, reminding him that he's a monster and human lives ain't important. So Ushio transforms and Tora tells him how to deal with the rock eater. Ushio then comes back to the building and tears into the rock eater's barrier. The rock eater immediately attacks him, but Ushio parries it. He then counterattacks by going behind the monster and piercing its heart. But Tora tells him it's not the actual rock eater and the real rock eater chokeholds him. The rock eater pins him to the ground and reveals its true form. Left with no choice, Ushio asks for Tora's help as the barrier's closing fast and he's still being held by the monster. Although reluctant at first, Tora responds by nabbing all the stone girls, rescuing them from being permanently trapped inside the rock eater's realm. Tora tells Ushio to get out of the domain, but Ushio is already turning into stone. But Tora won't allow his prey to get eaten, and tries to prevent the seal from closing. Ushio begs for power, just once, to be able to get the spear and kill the yokai in one blow. The spear heeds to his call, which destroys the rock curse that's turning him into a statue. The then spear flies above their heads and stops at the seal's gates, preventing it from closing. Tora then charges up his power and starts electrocuting the demon, killing it in the process. However, the fight isn't over as the final form of the yokai attacks them from the ground. After learning how to kill a rock eater, Ushio dives down and stabs the rock eater's eyes. Couple of days later, and Ushio's dad came back from his trip, only to lecture his son again about the spear. Ushio's going out with Nakamura and Inao to visit a museum. Ushio eagerly shows both Nakamura and Inao the works of Hanyu, a well-known artist. One of the paintings is a picture of a young woman, which was the last work of the said artist. Apparently, one of the paintings is a photograph display, and being an art connoisseur, Ushio immediately seeks out to find Ryuko, the daughter of the artist he's been fanboying over. Back to school, a third-year student trips Ushio and tells him he's standing out. The third year goes by the name of Masaki, and the guy pops Ushio's face with a right hook and keeps beating him up. But gloomy-looking lady appears and tells Masaki to hit her instead, even going so far to tell him that she doesn't mind if Masaki kills her. Masaki asks her why she's still saying things like that and call her by the name Ryuko. Realizing the similarities, Ushio asks if Ryuko's the real deal, but the woman just tells him that she isn't doing it to save him. Ushio then tails Ryuko home, begging her to model for his art, but Ryuko tells him that she's indeed Hanyu's daughter, but anyone who gets close to her dies. Ryuko turns left and Ushio chases after her, but he almost gets sent to another world. With Ushio's quick reflexes, he's able to split the truck in half instead. Later that afternoon, Ushio finds Masaki and the guy reveals to him that they're childhood friends. But after Ryuko's parents broke up, Ryuko's father became mad, and Masaki ended up not seeing Ryuko anymore. The next day, Ushio sees Ryuko watching them practice their folk dance. He invites her to dance and she teaches him how to dance. However, a whirlwind suddenly appears out of nowhere and traps both inside. The yokai reveals itself and hits Ushio, wounding his back. Ushio finally sees the reason why Ryuko's all gloomy and ready to die. He tells the yokai that he's stupid, but the yokai attacks him, which Tora manages to prevent by slicing off its hand. He then goes electrocutes the yokai, which disintegrates it, fleeing the scene. After the fight, Ryuko tells Ushio that she's going to end this and starts running back home. She then tries to jump from a building, but Ushio throws his spear and saves her. Masaki and Ushio quickly rush to save her from falling. Ryuko's father appears and tries to appeal to her emotions, but Ryuko, for the first time ever, decides to go against her father's wishes, choosing herself. Ryuko's father tries to drag Ryuko and Masaki into his painting, but Ushio tries to fight back and snatch her from him, but also gets dragged into the painting. Tora saves Ushio and takes everyone back. He then tells Ushio to stab the painting and the yokai to kill it, which Ryuko tries to stop by using her body, but the spear goes through, killing her dad. A few days later and Ushio hears the news of construction workers getting brutally massacred. While walking to the school, Ushio meets an old man who tells him about the massacre not being done by a human, but by something else. He tells Ushio that the Keystone Sealing 5 Honest was released and thus undoing the seal of the monsters. 758 Ushio recognizes the girl from the old man's book, who tells him is the same person who sealed the Honest centuries ago. The woman looks a lot like Inao and Ushio's instincts tell him that she's in danger. Inao is now surrounded by the Honest who are looking for the priestess who looks like her, but luckily for her, Ushio arrives just in time. Ushio attacks the Oni, but the Oni grabs his spear and his brothers and sisters prevent him from using his spear. However, Ushio's insane durability for a human makes them conclude that it's better not to waste any more time against him, so they go after Inao. Just as one of the Onis about to devour Inao, Ushio appears just in time and stabs the Oni's head. He then electrocutes the head, killing the Oni. Some nights later, when Ushio's sleeping, Tora suddenly attacks him and gives him a nasty scar, reminding him that he's still a human before fusing with the spear's power. The next day, Ushio sees a mysterious man beating some bullies and stops him. Upon seeing him, the man immediately throws a barrage of chained kunai and tries to torture Ushio, but quickly apologizes when he realizes he wields the beast's spear. The guy tells him he kills monsters for a living, basically an exorcist, and goes by the name Hayu. Hayu tells him that long ago, a monster killed his wife and child, and that monster looks just like Tora. And since Tora gave Ushio a terrible scar that morning, Ushio asks Hayu to kill Tora for good. Ushio tries to clarify the misunderstanding, which leads to the man beating him up, because he needs to find the real yokai who killed his family. But he later realizes that killing a yokai randomly wouldn't satiate the revenge he wanted in the first place, especially if it's the wrong target. And so the guy leaves and thanks Ushio for setting him in the right path. Sometime later, while everyone is enjoying the beach, Ushio senses that something's wrong. He tries looking for the source, but ends up being contacted by another yokai. The yokai informs him that Tora is asking for backup, because he's stuck inside the Ayakashi's belly. But Inao comes looking for him, informing Ushio that Nakamura's in trouble. He phones Nakamura and she informs Ushio that they're stuck inside the belly of a giant serpent, the same serpent that devoured Tora. With their location confirmed, Ushio sets sail for the Ayakashi's belly. Once the serpent appears, he leaps into the air and dives straight into the serpent, but can't pierce the serpent's thick body, so Ushio chops through the barrier and lets himself get swallowed by the serpent. Ushio and the spear come dashing through the air, saving Tetsuya, Nakamura, and Tora in the process. However, the serpent's real body is vacuuming them into its stomach. Since Tora is at his limits, Ushio orders Tetsuya to help him. Knowing the pain of losing a mom, Ushio tells Tetsuya to help Nakamura because he knows that his mom is always watching him. So, Tetsuya goes after Nakamura, saving her. But Ushio loses his grip and tries to grab the spear's torn scarf. However, the vacuum is so strong, the scarf is torn quickly. The spear somehow unpierced itself and starts going after the Ayakashi's real body, killing it by stabbing its eye. The dawn breaks, Ushio and gang leave the province to go back to their town. Before leaving, the Yakai tells Ushio that he's been lying his entire life. His mother is not dead, she's still alive. Upon learning from the Yakai that his mother is still out there, Ushio confronts his father and asks him his mother's whereabouts. But his father dodges the question and sprints away to go on a business trip again. The next day, his father comes back and lectures him again. But this time around, he gave him 2 million yen, which he'll have to use to find his mother. His dad then transforms into his usual Buddhist mystic robes and challenges Tora to a battle. The two squares off and Ushio tries to stop them, but he gets his ass whooped every time. And so he transforms into his Ultra Ushio form to stop them, which is apparently just a show, because the organization that his father works for is pretty much the same as what he does, except they want to eliminate Tora and take the beast spear. Later, Tora and Ushio's father defeat the assassins sent by the organization and tells Tora to accompany Ushio in his quest to find his mother. Ushio set his sights to Hokkaido to learn more about his mother. On the way there, he meets a young girl orphaned by a pilot who died 1 month ago. One of the pilot's juniors tries to console the daughter, but ends up getting blamed for telling her stupid stories about a monster who was the reason for his father's demise. Once they start flying, Ushio sits next to the girl and holds her hands to keep her still. However, a monster starts attacking their plane. Ushio transforms again and starts going after the monster, but Tora tells him that he'll handle it, telling Ushio to stab the monster once it's within his range. The junior went to the cockpit to try and control the plane, but he's bad. Once Tora signals the attack, Ushio and the girl stabs the monster, revealing its true form on the radar. The JASDF recognizes the threat and quickly scrambles to target the monster. With their combined power, Tora and Ushio manage to clear the monster's limbs from the plane, causing it to be a clear target for the JASDF fighters. After the plane lands, Ushio and Tora sets out for the mountains, hoping to find clues